the studio with my 3-year-old son Jake, also known as Jake Jitsu. He's down there.
AKA Superboy.
Yeah, so if you hear any loud yelling, anything like that, our babysitter is at the Hollywood Bowl. Jen took the kids to go see Harry Potter.
Yeah, and you said it had a live orchestra behind it or something like that? That
Yeah,
sounded
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, no, it sounded cool. I haven't seen the movies, but no, the kids read them all. Like my niece and Livy both read Harry Potter, like 1 through 7, which is crazy. Hey, Jake, can you say hi? Hi.
Yeah.
There he is. He's got the headphones on.
Yeah, no, I read it, half of the first one, and I for sure watched the first movie. But, dude, that'd be so awesome. I'd do that, like, right now at 27 years of age. I'd go watch that.
Yeah,
and listen.
yeah. And this summer I guess they've already gone to Universal Studios twice this summer just because they could go see the Harry Potter thing.
That's another good spot I like to go as an adult. Like, Universal's pretty sick. Has a lot of good rides. That King Kong ride a few years ago, probably like 7 years ago now.
Yeah.
Pretty scary. You hear the monkey breathing behind you. Pretty nuts.
No, it's funny. I last night, Livy wanted to watch a scary movie, and she's only 8, so I was like, the worst we're going is PG-13, and even then, and she really wanted to see the new Jurassic Park, and I was like, well, might as well just watch the first one. I was like, but it's gonna be scary. I was like,
on Netflix.
Yeah. I was like, there's people that are gonna get eaten, but I was like, okay, we'll watch it together, and if you ever get, oh yeah, like that. That sounds like a dinosaur. Thank you, Jake. Yeah, very good dinosaur. Nice. Okay, let's go with a quiet dinosaur now. Let's do a quiet dinosaur.
I don't think those exist, Dad. I don't think that's around. See?
Or
like a pterodactyl.
Or a dinosaur that goes to sleep. Maybe he's hibernating. Maybe they have hibernating dinosaurs. Okay, no, don't do that. Okay, so anyhow, back to this. Like I said, experiment.
Black Buddha's my baby, so
yeah, he came along with the backyard.
Get ready for a little baby Jesus coming soon.
Yeah, so today we're checking out the sound. This was late. We'd want to record, but I had to do a lot of stuff today. Kind of crazy. But yeah, we don't know how it's going to be with a waterfall in the background.
Dude, I really don't think it sounds too bad at all, especially when we're up on the mics. We can adjust. It's almost calming to me, I guess. But
yeah,
we'll wait for some listeners' reviews and whatnot. But I don't think it's too bad, man.
Yeah, without the pterodactyl, like it is pretty peaceful.
But those are just you got to be careful for those. They're around. It happens.
Yeah. So, but you know what? It's awesome. I was talking to someone today because. Okay, this weekend, like, dude, I'm very fortunate. I realized, like, I was telling someone that today. I was like, I'm very fortunate for the life I have. I love being able to do yoga and jiu-jitsu and write and, pursue my passions, and play with the kids and everything. But, like, for a little bit this weekend, man, because I hadn't been doing that much work, I kind of resented, having to get stuck doing family stuff, and that's how I was thinking about. I was like, I got to do this. I have to go to a neighborhood thing. I have to do something else. Instead of just enjoying it. But we went out for 4th of July. By the end of it, I had gotten to the point where I was like, okay, I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, can I ask you, from a non-parent, is it going out with the family, or is it having to interact with the other parents just because the other kids in the same age group
well, and not even that. It's just I've always had a hard time with big crowds, and this was like a huge event, 4th of July. I just I just have a hard time with it being just in crowds. And that's something I should work on. But what else has been going on? Oh, you're dealing with your injury, your knee.
Complete tear, ACL, MCL, PCL.
Don't jinx yourself.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I think it's just a little. I'm hoping it's my MCL. I mean, I'm not hoping for anything. I'm hoping I just get better.
Yeah.
Yesterday and the day before that were the first days I could kind of walk without feeling pain each time. So I'm like, all right, I'll do that. But just an old injury, man. I should have taken care of it somehow, either in physical therapy or chiropractor. Who knows? It might just be out. It might not be a partial tear or anything. That's what I'm hoping. So, dude, how are you digging our setup? Like, I'm liking it. Once I think where I adjust where I want to be and everything's good.
Yeah. No, man. I think especially if I wasn't having to watch him.
Yeah.
Like
I know. I'm
You're
enjoying our toys.
You're like,
I'm like, man, this is awesome.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of trying to babysit him
There's
and
beauty
talk
in
at the same time.
oblivion.
So if it seems like I lost my train of thought,
No, we're probably not even putting this out, but I just,
oh no, if it sounds good, we put it out. You know what? Let's do it.
that's true, right? Fuck it. We are around babies.
Yeah, you know what? And because and I definitely want to put out Brightside. I want to keep putting that out. I know there are people that are listening to it.
Yes.
You can
yeah.
pick it up just on Audible if you want to hear it all, but otherwise it's chapter 10 at the end of today's episode. So yeah, definitely stick around. It's cool, and that's what I love. I love getting that response of hearing people that catch a chapter and then they're like, "Dude, I went back and I listened to all of them." I was like, that's awesome to hear. No, life is good, dude. Life is good. I'm happy about this because it's almost done. We've been doing construction in the backyard for
A few months?
Since February.
Wow.
And so we're still not
really?
done. We still have to plant all the bushes. But ever since we got the trees in here, it's made such a big difference. Even though lots of them still aren't planted. Yeah, you can't see it now.
No, I'm
But,
super
hey,
excited.
you
about
sit
the
down,
trees
sit
and all
down,
that.
sit down right now. You do not do that.
My
So-
brother fell back, had his tooth come through his
Ooh.
cheek right here because he hit his head by doing that on a chair.
Yeah. No, Livy fell down. My daughter, when she was, I wasn't here. That happened over at my sister-in-law's 3
Okay.
doors down. And then she fell back in her chair. She kicked off the table. She landed, hit her head, was like passing out while we rushed to the hospital. She keeps falling asleep on me. I'm trying to wake her up. We get into the emergency room, and then she throws up all over me. And I remember,
Concussion.
yeah, like
Super
really bad. And
concussion,
that was scary. And this guy, yes, I can hear you, bud. You're doing it loud and clear. And this guy's already had his broken collarbone. He's just like, it's like, oh man, I'm not even gonna.
Yeah, I seen him take some spills just by. Oh, remember the last one? It was like almost on his tailbone.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
that was a bad one. He
Yeah.
let out a scream that was
Yeah,
ooh, like a banshee.
because he's usually pretty tough.
Yeah.
But that was one of the cute things too. At the 4th of July, it was at La Habra High School. It was a cool event. A lot of people were dancing, and he wanted to. I was like, "You want to dance with all the kids?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "But dance with me, Daddy." And I was like, "Man." I was like, "I
For those of you
should."
who don't know, Mark is a excellent
I'm
public dancer.
I am an anti-dancer. But I'm gonna work on that. I'm supposed to actually promise my wife I would do dance
Some
lessons
dance
with her.
lessons.
And I'll do it. I just need to set it up. I do need to do that though.
You guys are busy
Uh,
too, though. I mean, you got
yeah.
shit going on.
But that's one of the things is like going outside that comfort zone, and yeah, it makes me very uncomfortable to do it. So that's a good sign.
It's
I
funny.
need to.
You can grapple,
Yeah.
you can spar with crazy guys, but yet
Yeah, I don't mind.
like to dance.
Yeah, I don't mind being submitted, having to give up to another person. But no, I'm not gonna dance. And-
Don't make me dance in front of someone.
Yeah, don't make me show emotion. Yeah.
I don't think that waterfall is anything crazy bad.
No, I think it should be good. Yeah, if it sounds terrible, like, and hopefully we'll be able to adjust it. But
I mean, Frank's episode was probably a lot more loud.
oh yeah, 'cause
noisier
we had
than
a
this.
lot
We
of
had little
kids
running
Yeah,
around.
the
That was
park.
pretty nuts, and
Yeah.
he was going. So no, this is man. I think
Yeah.
we found our new podcast home for a while, guys.
Yeah, but we might move around though. Like one day might be at the fireplace. I think we might get a big giant raft that we could just both lay on for one episode. Maybe we'll film in the grotto one day.
Yeah, and then we'll get electrocuted and die, and
Yeah.
and it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I wake up, I'm back in Iraq. Ah!
No, let's
Yeah.
not do that. I think we'll probably film here. So one thing today got with unlocking. A big problem is feeling bad about not being able to include everybody. On this chapter I'm writing is one of my last trips. It was second to last trip is when I went up to Sacramento, and I went with my good friend Brian, who also fought, Brian Shepard. So it was cool. And he's one of the main guys in the chapter, even though he didn't have a ton of fighting experience. But he was the same age as me. We beat the hell out of each other? He probably knows me better than anyone, because he remembered me from back then. My memory is shot. Like, I couldn't even remember if we were really good friends or not.
Wow.
Dude, I'm writing about that. I was embarrassed to even ask him. I'm like, were we, do you remember if we were cool? Do you remember hanging out? Do you remember, because lots of that time is gone for me.
Wow.
Oh, dude, yeah, completely. So I was kind of hoping it was gone for him too. I was like, maybe we're just older dudes. We don't have.
He's as sharp as a tack.
I was like, it's either from I partied a lot at that time too, so there was definitely a lot of partying going on. I don't think it was that. Um, I think it was probably all the concussions and he was talking about our sparring sessions. He's like, dude, we beat the shit out of each other. Like we were trying to knock each other out, and he's 300 something pounds, and so I'm getting hit by him all the time. I'm getting hit by Frank Muir all the time. John Wood, the coach from Syndicate, he was coming up, and so he was one of our sparring partners. And dude, we went hard.
Dude, that's crazy. I was listening to Rogan and Brendan Schaub today, and they were talking about just 5-6 years ago how hard they used to spar.
Oh yeah,
and just go like heavyweights, just going. And it's just 5 or 6 years ago, and they're like, this is ridiculous now. It's like, no, you gotta, and I can't imagine what 2004, 3.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you were doing it, that's
no,
man.
that's how you got ready. You like, okay, you're gonna be in a fight where you get the shit kicked out of you, so go kick the shit out of each other right now.
Because it was such a, it's still a new sport compared to everything else, but man, back then, it was super. Yeah, it was like super Indian casino
and who knows? Like, I gotta take responsibility for it too, because how much of it? It's half of it is an individual in there. Like sometimes you might get thrown in there, and like you can't get killed. You got to match the other guy, but if you're turning it up and he's turning it up and he's turning it up, it's just like with jiu-jitsu, like you could either be kind of cool and go still like have a good match, or you could like really be putting stuff on.
Yeah, I guess because I'm not a fighter, I never understood spar. Well, I understand it now because I understand it through jiu-jitsu and having a partner you trust, but sparring always seems to me to just amplify no matter what. Even at the highest levels, you catch some documentaries of Greg Jackson's gym or whatever. These guys are calculated, obviously, and they're pros. But man, there's a little something there. These guys are going at it, and it seems like, wow, that's just a fight. It's a fight. It's tamed, I guess, but sparring's sparring. It's a fight.
Yeah. But the cool thing about it, so like on that trip, there's a lot of people I went up to see. One of the main guys was my buddy Nico Lozado from when I first interviewed him. He was amateur at Jackson's, but he was training up at Team Alpha Male, and we had like a hour-long conversation. But I was like, it doesn't really fit into the book, like right then, like and because I mentioned before, but I was like, he's a guy I would like to write about, but it doesn't, he just doesn't fit. And there's just so many guys, like out of 400 people. I had to pick like maybe 80, or even that's like a lot. I might be criticized for like just having too many people in there. Like I worry about it being overwhelming, having all these different characters in a book, even though they're real people, But so I was gonna write to everyone and tell them, apologize for those people that, that didn't make the book. I was like, because I had some powerful stuff. Like I learned a lot from everybody. But I think one thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to. At the end, I'm going to have quotes from everybody. So I'm going to go back to the guys, either look at their footage, and like some of them had awesome quotes. I'll ask them, like, do you want to use that one? Do you want me to get me a new one? Something to, like, hey, just even a little paragraph, like, you know what, you're included. Like, you mean something. And I was like, because I think if it was me, I'd enjoy it. I was like, that'd be cool to have, like.
To be acknowledged.
Yeah, just be acknowledged.
What were you planning to do with all that extra content, all everything? What about a blog, or what about something on Facebook, or what about maybe every other week you put out a little fighter profile, and I don't know. You got a lot of content.
Man. I do nothing with it. Someone commented on I just put out a video, what it means to be a father. Yeah. So powerful stuff. Like I thought it was excellent. I was like, I learned a lot from all these guys. But someone commented, he's like, dude, this is awesome. He's like, the sad thing is like, my videos, like my stupid videos are getting more views than this. Because I don't really, I put something out one time and I don't put it out again. And I know, like I should hire someone to do all that. But I'm actually writing an article to go with that. I'm submitting it to like HuffPost and places. Cause I think it's important.
Yeah, but don't beat yourself up, because you got so much content for you to keep going back and putting it out again.
Right.
I think it's important for you to put it out.
Yeah.
Just so they know it's out there, or maybe on your YouTube page. But come on, for you to keep going back and putting it out again. You got time. You're a dad. You got a little baby running around right now.
Yeah. No, what's up, buddy? You can sit there as long as you stay right there. Thank you, buddy. You're a good listener, huh? So he is a very sweet boy too.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah. And he finished the whole class almost yesterday. He almost got
Sweet.
through all of jiu-jitsu, so.
Sweet, and he hasn't been tarnished by his racist parents yet, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
They've been trying,
Not
but
yet,
he's
yeah,
not
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
He's still doing
Oh,
good.
he'll get there.
I haven't heard a racist joke yet, but we're good.
Have you heard any from Libby yet? No?
No, Livy's a good girl. She's awesome. She's an indigo child.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I'm just going to, I think that'll be cool to put that out. I just thought of that today. I was like, you know what? That'll be a cool little thing. Plus, it'll be powerful because it'll be, I'll have all the questions that I asked, like probably, I think there's like maybe 20 to 25 what I think are interesting questions, like what it means to be a man or, or even just why do they fight? Maybe even just that's what it'll be is like why do you fight? That's what people want to know. They can go to the back and be like, okay, here's 400 different fighters saying why they fight. Like if you really break it down. And now that a lot of these fighters already knew these things, but some fighters I feel like they discovered the reasons for fighting while talking. Because we were like
that happens a lot.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out mine, and at the same time they're trying to figure out theirs, and so sometimes it's cool. It's like you have to. And like I was telling you earlier, I think off camera, like with my buddy Brian, like lots of things he didn't even realize about himself. I'm on the outside. I'm like, damn, if that happened, and if that happened, and if that happened, and if that happened, how could that person not be angry? Like, how could you? He was blaming. Well, he was talking about how he became violent after high school, and very angry, and like challenging people and fighting and stuff like that. And he said it was just he said it was testosterone. There's just too much testosterone because he was lifting weights and doing all that. I was like, no. I was like, that may be part of it, but I said everything that I know about you from your past. I was like, dude. I was like, that would make anybody angry. He's like, but he didn't. And then he realized, like, man, I guess that kind of makes sense. He didn't want to kind of really believe it. He wanted to think that. I think we all want to think like, oh, we turned out fine, but
dude, I've been there with you.
Yeah.
Like, talking about my past, and I'm like, with Kita. I was like, oh my God, I got bullied.
Here, give it to me. Good job. Well, pick it out first, and then you can hand it to me. I love getting boogies. At least he's not eating them. There's always that. Gotta look on the bright side.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of cool when you realized that.
By girls.
Bullied by girls.
Big black girls. If that
Yeah.
if that makes any difference. But
a little bit. No, I mean, because you couldn't fight back if you wanted to against girls. I mean, that's a little.
Yeah, and they were aggressive, man. They would pull my hair. Yeah.
Did you see Livy's match yesterday? Not the competition, but in class. I guess she had a really tough match with Robert.
Robert, yeah, that was a good match.
Just that she really got pushed, but
he couldn't get past her guard.
That's
her
cool.
guard, and he was trying to smash. He was trying to put some knee on belly pressure. He was trying, and he's Robert is
he's
12.
Maybe not that old, but I think he is older. Maybe only 10.
10, 11?
Like maybe like Bailey's age.
How old is Livy though? Is 9?
Livy's 8.
8. Okay.
Yeah.
8. I mean, he's a little boy, 10, 11, and he's actually he's a really good kid, and knows how to pass guard, knows how to knee slice, was doing all of it, but Livy just kept jailbreaking, and she never had I think she had Alcatraz once because he mounted her, but kept getting her guard back. Just kept getting, because of her legs, man. Just kept getting her guard back. And then at the end, she threatened with the triangle.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, I don't know. For her, she's 8.
Yeah, and that's because Jen told me about it, and that's what I told her. I was like, look, I said that's an older boy. I was like, that should make you feel really good. Like, you can take all that. What's the worst that happened? It's like, it's a little bit of pressure. It's uncomfortable, but it's not a big deal. Oh, okay. You're doing good?
He's one of our cerebral boys. Like, he actually thinks, and he's slow, and he doesn't burst through or use it. He was trying, and he was thinking it through, and he was like, all right. I could see his little hamster wheels turning, and he was good trying, but Livy just kept getting her, and she was on her back. And she's shuffling, and
she told me something that was pretty cool. She told me, she's like, I did this one thing. I forget what it was. She's like, but I did this, and I knew, I knew he didn't really have the arm bar, and so I went ahead but pretended like he did, so I could do this, and then she got like a sweep or something. So I was like, that's cool.
Chess with the human body, man.
Yeah.
She's thinking about strategies. Oh, that move's weak. He doesn't have that move. Let me give him this move.
Yeah.
But that concept of going deeper into danger to get out, like to go through instead of pulling back and running away, like that's huge, man. For a kid, I don't know. Maybe I don't know, cause I teach them, but I think it's huge.
No, I thought it was really cool. And Jen was like, she's like, Livia, I don't know how to do that yet. So like, I'm just learning. I was like, yeah, I don't really do that. I was like, I might do some stuff instinctively, but I don't really. Oh, there's the booger. Thank you.
And that move in particular, giving them the armbar just to either spin out or go hip to hip on them and get out. I've been doing that a lot lately, but just this past year, just because I saw Dean Lister do a couple cool things like that. So, wow, she's 8, man.
Yeah,
she's 8, and not just her, all these little ninjas that we got at the gym.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No, it's cool to see. It's cool to see. You think you're done doing that? Why don't you build a? Okay.
I thought he said,
"Oh, you guys are done." Oh, yeah, he did. He said, "Daddy, I think you guys are done." Doing the video.
You know what, man?
You know what? That's fair. That's very fair. You ready to go inside and play? Okay. You know what? You've been awesome, bud. Okay, so listen, we will stop. Hey, how about this? We'll stop as soon as you're done with your giant spaceship on that. Okay, build me a giant spaceship, and then we will fly it inside and be done. Yeah, you can build that too. Yeah, make a good one.
That's my union rep.
Yeah,
when I work too much.
Yeah.
He just comes in. Hey,
shut
it down. You're done.
I think you guys are done.
Anthony, you're done.
No, he's dude. He's funny. He's definitely he's a clown.
Well, no, since I've known you and been around, it's going on a year or two or whatever. I've seen him kind of float and start talking more, especially with me, and just be more comfortable around me and whatnot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does with school. I think he's gonna do much better than Olivia did as far as like socially.
Yeah,
I think he should be good.
It's so funny. I pull up to your house and I hop out with Pirate. I'm walking Pirate and he's walking with Glenna, and across the street he goes, "That's Coach Anthony," but he doesn't miss a step, just like a little midget walking. "That's Coach Anthony." Just keeps going. This is a cool guy,
Yeah. Yeah, awesome, man. Well, you know what, dude? I think we'll probably wrap this up because we got him. I just wanted to check this out. I want to check out the sound.
I think we're going to be good.
I wanted to put out the chapter of Brightside. One last thing. Just real quick. He's still building, so we can throw this in there. I told you I was starting to read again, right? So I've been, pretty thick book, but Stephen King used to be my favorite, one of my favorite authors ever. Probably learned the most from him. My style I got a lot from him just because I read so much from him. But I told myself before I didn't have time to read, but it's only been like a week or maybe 2 weeks. I'm just about done with it. I was like, I'm trying to read the chapter, the story every night, and I've enjoyed it. And what's really cool about it, and hopefully this doesn't sound, people don't take this the wrong way, because I got so much respect for Stephen King. Obviously, he's the master. But I was like, there were some stories I was reading, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I wasn't super impressed, or I think I always put him up there, and my stuff way down there. I was like, you know what? With practice, I can get up there. Yeah. So I was like, 100%. Like, I think because sometimes a recent review said, Twisted Reunion. This person said, easily give Stephen King a run for his money, and I used to always hear that because I've had it in some other reviews. People notice similarity and say, man, it's like this dude could be the next Stephen King. And I'm like, that's always bullshit. But after reading, I was like, no, it's like there's not that much as far as what I can see as quality. I was like, he's excellent. I was like, but I think my stuff's getting there, and I think in another 20 years I'll be there. And I'm gonna write, and then there's just so much cool stuff hearing him, like, because he writes about like where each story came from. And dude, I love reading that kind of stuff. Like, he's telling where his ideas came from. Getting so much from that, and just that the ideas never die, and like, so it's been
awesome.
Cool to read.
I would want to read that from an author. Figure that out. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's been a while, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna actually ask people, because I stopped reading him. I don't know. I want to say like, let's say 10 years ago. So I'm gonna ask people, like, okay, out of these books that I haven't read, like, which one should I read next? Yes, we're gonna go inside, and with that. No, we're gonna be done, okay? Okay. Oh, whatever. Okay, we're wrapping up, but this is it. We just
It's my union rep once again.
yeah. He's
Go ahead
like,
and
no.
call
He's
Jake
like,
if you need.
he's like, man, I'm tired. I'm hungry.
We're done.
You guys are out of here. We're turning up the lights. Yeah, look at you. Okay, so thank you guys for putting up with this.
For sure.
Yeah, sorry for the distractions. We'll
Let's
get
call
this
this a
done.
rough
Hey,
day.
over here,
Yeah.
away from the pool.
You
So
see
yeah,
us
we're
ditch
kind
over
of yeah. You just do it. But no,
man.
we're gonna start doing yoga out here as soon as the yard's finished up. We're gonna
Yep.
shoot your DVD out here. It's gonna be dope. So yeah,
Super
stick around,
excited.
watch that. Next week we'll talk about how I did in the competition. Whether yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna have fun, and I'm gonna see my brother, Steve, my nephew, my sister-in-law. So that'll be cool. So I'm
Super
looking
fun.
forward to seeing everyone down there. Maybe we will record from there. Not sure. But right now we have Brightside chapter 10. I think today. If you do want to hear the other chapters, go back to the other previous episodes, or pick it up on Audible. I think they still have that deal where if you buy the ebook, you can get it for
Audible's the way to go,
$1.99,
man. If
yeah.
you can't sit down and read it, flip those pages.
yeah. No, I
When
think
you're
it's
driving and getting your stuff done.
yeah. No, I dig it. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, putting up with us, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Later.
Chapter 10. Day 100, and I'm just trying to get to work. Walking down the sidewalk, the morning air is so cold. The helicopter is still circling, which means they haven't found Wayne. That's good. Means the boots are busy. Busy means they won't be checking my apartment, the closet. I'm running the plan over in my head, and I see a group of people outside Lodge 2. They're watching guys in white coats wheeling someone out on a gurney. There's no hurry, because whoever it is isn't moving under the black plastic bag. I know I should keep moving, get to work, look like everything's normal. But I find myself getting closer. I see Tommy, the 19-year-old punk with his bright orange mohawk, and I ask him what's going on. "Another one bites the dust," he says. I think about my closet, knowing it's just getting started. Palmer, the only boot I know by name, is taking statements. He's got his aviator sunglasses and fuck you attitude. He catches me staring and I don't blink. Palmer's the boot who almost put a bullet in my head the day I thought Michelle was coming to save me, when I ran out in the street waving my arms like an idiot. Someone grabs my arm. Sheriff Melvin in that bushy white mustache. "You're supposed to be at work, aren't you, Joe?" The way he says it, I know he's telling me to move along. But I ask who died. "Sheila Clark." Sheila, the one who saw me with Crystal. The one who swore she'd never tell Rachel. Swore she'd never say a goddamn word. Melvin wipes crumbs off his shirt. "You know anything about it?" "No." "Where were you last night?" "Home." "People saw you running all over town. What were you doing?" "Couldn't sleep." "You do some laundry?" "Huh?" Sheriff Melvin steps in. Sniffs. "Lot of bleach." "Yeah. Like I said, I couldn't sleep." Melvin takes off his sunglasses. I hadn't really seen his eyes before. How they were so open. Trying to look like, hey, remember, I'm on your team. Palmer's staring at me, smiling all smug, wanting me to know when this is over he might finish the job. I give him a nod to say my schedule's wide open. Melvin thinks about reaching for his gun, shoving it in my face, yelling, "I'm one dumb son of a bitch." The sort of thing he used to do back in the real world. "I should get to work," I say. Melvin says that's a good idea. He waits until I'm crossing the street before he heads back into the crowd. So I keep walking, not running like day 66. After I found out my father was the one who turned me in. I can't tell you where I was running after I'd hung up with Mom. I just kept going. through the dark and desolate park and into the woods. I'd made it 3 steps when my foot sank into the snow, cold rising up over my shoe, seeping through my sock. I yanked my right foot out of my shoe, bent over, pulled it out with a loud slop. There wasn't any grass nearby, so I took off my sock, wiped down my shoe, and cleaned it as best I could. With both shoes back on, I continued up the trail, looked for signs of someone else, kept an eye out for deep snow. The sweet smell took me back to a time I had hope. Back to all the hikes I'd taken with Dad. The hikes Mom couldn't go on because her knees were acting up. How we all pretended it had nothing to do with how much time she spent on them. Then I pictured Dad on the phone, telling someone to arrest his son. It took me a few minutes to get to the thick pine where it looked like the trail ended, but really just whipped around to the right. I was back at the tree. A rough heart carved into the bark with my name on top, a small heart beneath it. Michelle's name X'd out at the bottom, Rachel's name too. The women I'd hurt, the pain I'd caused. I kept walking for hours, paying just enough attention to stay away from the fence line, the wind doing its best to knock me over. Suddenly, a huge cracking sound filled the air. I spun and watched as a huge tree slowly toppled to the earth. It landed with a thud and bounced right past me, knocked over 2 small trees before coming to a stop. 1 boulder, then 2, rolled down the mountain and nestled up against the fallen pine. Several other large rocks were scattered up above. I made my way up to them and stood in front of a half-covered cave someone had been hiding. The fence line was up another couple 100 feet, but sometimes rangers roamed. I looked around. The woods were silent. No one in sight. Danny had given me a flashlight keychain and I flicked it on. Wood beams braced the rough walls carved out with a pick. Little metal tracks snaked into the darkness. I followed them, my feet crunching over the dirt. The tunnel seemed to go on forever, and I started to fear another tree toppling, crashing into the cave, trapping me in there forever. But I pressed on. Continued down the steep slope, needing to know where this led. I must have gone a half mile before I finally saw light. That full moon shining at the end of my shaft. My heart pumped, and I thought about all those island getaways I'd been selling. Pictured myself on the beach drinking something cold as waves crashed and spread up to my toes. But then I got to the end of the shaft, a tiny outcrop on the edge of the cliff. My heart stopped. The bridge that had once connected Brightside to the next peak had been destroyed. 200 feet down. I threw myself against the ground, shut my eyes, my stomach flopping around, every inch of me pouring sweat. But 200 feet wasn't a mile. With a lot of rope, I could make it. Just not with this wind. I hadn't thought I'd been up there that long, but my watch showed me I had 2 hours to get to work. As quick as I could, I made my way back up the shaft. There was no way I was leaving my new secret exposed, so I gathered rocks and piled them in front of the entrance. I swept huge mounds of snow over it as the sun peeked over the horizon. It wasn't perfect, but it'd have to do. I only had 10 minutes to be at my desk. My pants were in decent shape, and I'd clean off my shoes better at the office. My jacket was a mess, so I stripped it off and wadded it into a ball, walked over to the pile of rocks. Real quick and quiet, I moved a boulder near the top and tossed the jacket into the darkness. When I stepped out of the woods, it was light enough for me to put on my sunglasses. I cut across the wet grass and headed for the southern archway. The last part of the park was always the hardest for me. The cabin up the pebbled path on the left, the dog park to my right. The one that'd make me start thinking about Sonny and Lily. I got on the sidewalk, Super Pond directly ahead, a name too big for the tiny window. It had been a while since I looked outside. I usually avoided the store because Robert was always hanging out front, playing with his voice box, trying to get someone to talk to him, make him feel like a person. The display had a little of everything, mostly rings. The tennis bracelet was on its own center stage. I couldn't see the inside of it, but I knew Belinda's initials were engraved there. I was wondering how Robert got the diamonds so sparkly when I walked right into the payphone. My shoulder smacked the glass dome hard enough to turn me toward the beauty salon and dry cleaners across the street. No one in either place to see what an idiot I was. That's when I saw the orange jumpsuits coming with their shovels. I thought about heading the other way, but I needed to get to my desk. Needed to look like everything was normal. I tried to control my thoughts, tried to think about anything but the mine shaft, my escape, but I couldn't help it. I finally had a way out, just not the way Dad wanted. An arm swung out and grabbed my shirt. Wayne King and that nasty beard. Mama's boy has a secret. I threw his hand off, kept moving. Wayne called out, "Don't go leaving without me." "King!" the guard yelled. "Shut your damn mouth or I'll do it for you." When the office elevator doors opened, I had to squint my eyes. The 6th floor was always too bright and my head felt ready to split. Nearly every inch of wall was covered with ridiculous posters of exotic locales. Until this moment, I hadn't been able to look at them. The bungalow sitting a foot above the Tahitian clear blue waters, the massive Swiss Alps, the sun shining off the snow-covered ski slopes, the promise of the pyramids, the adventure of African safari. Before this moment, they had been brutal reminders of all of the exciting places I'd never see. But now, with the mine shaft, I just might. Changing out of my shirt was a priority, but first I had to sit down. I had to get my shit together. I squeezed between the desk and the wall and dropped into my chair. My body was already feeling like one big bruise from lifting those rocks. I'd scraped up my arm. My extra-strength Excedrin was on the desk, always in reach. I popped 2 like they could actually take away the pain. I'd need the whole bottle for that, but with my luck it'd just make me sick. I pulled the shirt out from my desk. Carlos suggested I have a spare after I'd spilled toner in the copy room. Had an accident with the coffee machine. As I buttoned with one hand, I powered on the computer and waited for it to warm up. The dinosaur was 2 years old. Plenty of time to get out my yellow pad and 2 pens, and try not to stare at the wooden picture frame and the fading Polaroid, edges crumpled and black. But I didn't need the photo to remember just how blue the mad river had been, the number of brown trout I was holding, the way I was smiling at Dad, because there was never anyone else around to take the picture. That stupid kid. That stupid smile. I pushed the frame off the edge, right into the trash can. I was letting things get to me, so I took a deep breath and leaned back in the chair, rubbed my temples to clear my head. It worked better than a slap in the face, and so much quieter. I reached into the brown bag I'd gotten from the cafeteria and pulled out the cherry-filled donut. It miraculously remained intact, except for the blob of red oozing down the side. With no more shirts, I threw it in the trash, gave the frame some company. Then came the distant drone of a helicopter. Panic. To most people, the helicopter was no big deal, and maybe I was overreacting. But I just knew they'd found my escape. The escape someone else had tried to cover. The helicopter sounded like it was coming from the front of the building, so I hurried down the hallway. Grace, Young, and Trevor had their offices on the left side of the hall, but I was only interested in the ones facing the street. Wendell's was first, the door closed, probably locked, a sad attempt at keeping the donut holes a secret. Sheila's office was next to his. Her door was closed as well, always locked. Nathan, Brightside's resident artist, had the office before the bathrooms, an emergency stairwell. His door was wide open. He never closed it. Said he didn't see the point because he wanted everyone to know he was so fucking cool. The bit of morning light coming through Nathan's window let me see without flipping the switch. I entered the office. 5 miniature figures stood sentinel around the room and watched me head behind Nathan's desk. The X-Acto knife right there, ready to create. Remove. The figure sitting on the monitor looked bored, jealous of the one by the phone, both hands on his ears. I looked out the window and saw all of the square, but no helicopter. It sounded further to the left, so I hurried out of Nathan's and turned down the south hallway. Noise was coming from straight ahead, past the conference room to the left, Gloria's and Edward's to my right. It was loudest behind Carlos's door, the only one I couldn't see through. Entering the boss's office was never a good idea, but I did it anyway. From his window, I could see the dull black helicopter was much further than I'd thought, well out of the mounted gun's shooting range. Where it was flying was what bothered me. Hovering halfway up the mountain between the park and the peak, not too far from my carvings, real close to the cemetery. I closed Carlos's door behind me, started for the elevator, and tripped. If I hadn't, Demarius would have heard about my plan, not just me thinking about my ankle. Demarius leaned against the wall to my office, his eyes hidden behind the sunglasses. Demarius was the first to speak. "Damn, son. What you rushing for?" "I'm just trying to... You cracked the safe?" "What?" He pointed to Carlos's office. "Why are you snooping?" Demarius took a step away from the wall, his usual grin nowhere to be found. He called me over with his finger. "Let me holler at you." I focused on my ankle, not the rocks I'd lifted to hide the cave. "I'm real busy." "Look, I just want to tell you I'm sorry for telling Sharon about your thoughts." "Oh, no big deal." I headed for my office, hopped so my ankle was all I could think of. "You one skittish motherfucker." I threw myself into the chair, my mind back in the forest. The helicopter would see everything. I was fucked. Everything fucked. Sarah was back at her desk. I hadn't seen her on the way in. She was staring at me, her eyes looking ready to pop. "Joe, you need to stop." "Stop what?" "Just stop." I knew she'd heard every thought, but I couldn't control it. She stood and grabbed my arm. She was stronger than she looked. "Get up." "Why?" "Get up." Thinking like a drill sergeant, just like Dad. I had no choice, hopped on one foot, trying to save the ankle. Sarah peeked out the door, checked to make sure the coast was clear. Then she dragged me out of our office, me jumping like an idiot. We made it to the stairwell. There wasn't a camera, but Sarah still wouldn't open her lips. "Are you fucking crazy?" It was our chance to... Sarah smashed her hand over my mouth and thought, "You're going to get yourself killed." "I don't care." "Joe, if you go running out there, trying to find whatever you found, they're going to send you to the cabin, and then they're going to ask who else knows. They're going to ask Danny. Danny doesn't know, but I do." I hated everything coming out of her head, but she was right. If I went out there, I'd never make it to the cave, even if they didn't know about the mine shaft. I'd lead them right to it. Sarah took my arm. "Let's just get back to work." I clicked my teeth, knowing it was my only option. I spent the rest of the day at my desk, trying not to think. I couldn't help it, though, which was why Sarah never let me leave, even for lunch. I stayed tethered to that computer, away from everyone else. After work, Sarah invited me over for dinner with Danny. My mind on the helicopter. There'd been no reports of the cave, no mention of anything, except for a few new Brightsiders delivered into the fold. I prayed that was it. Danny popped up from the takeout we'd gotten, started spinning around, his mouth motorboating, spit flying out like a disgusting sprinkler. Danny, sit down. I'm a helicopter. Danny, go wash up now. Danny kept twirling to the bathroom, almost toppling over into the kitchen. Maybe I should try that, I tapped my skull and said. Might turn off this stupid thing. Sarah gave a sad smile, a small shake of her head. I felt awful and said I was sorry. And thank you for earlier. You're welcome. Sarah took a bite of her cold fries. Although you would have had plenty of time to spin in the cabin. I smiled, but my mind went to Rachel, to the boots, taking her away, to the forest, to the cave, the long, winding shaft and that terrifying drop. Sarah flinging over the ropes, both of us repelling. Sarah looked at me, her eyes hard and cold. No. But we could get out of here. And I told you no. Now you need to stop. Why? Don't you want to be... I trailed off, suddenly afraid there were cameras. The council said they'd had them all removed from the apartments, but there was no way of knowing. We can be free, I thought. And if we got caught? Sarah shook her head. Then everything I've done to be here will be for nothing. The awkward tension physically hunched my back. Thankfully, Danny broke it by walking in with toothpaste caked around his lips. I stood and said my goodbyes, said it was late. Sarah walked me to the door. Joe? I turned, saw sadness swirling in her eyes. I care about you, and I can't thank you enough for looking after Danny. But if you're going to put us in danger, then you can't see us anymore. My lips started to split between my teeth. I nodded and left before Sarah felt sorry for me. Staying away from Sarah was impossible. Her desk was 8 feet away. But it might as well have been a mile. She focused all of her energy into her calls, and when she did look at me, she only told herself I was a coworker. Nothing more. She had to do this for Danny, because she knew I'd made up my mind.